Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. This is Michaela and I will be doing today with you the newest top I've got here, and I will call it Brenda. It's a sports top, and what it's got special, two things actually. It's got a racerback, it's a racerback top, yeah. And as well, I will be making a double lining, which will include a pocket for the padding. So for someone who wants to add the padding inside, well, we'll be making a little hole. So as you can see, I've got two pieces of lining, and I will be making a little bit of a hole here. Not too big, yeah, just enough that you can introduce the lining, which later I will serge it. Right, that's one. Okay, so this part, yeah, with the little holes won't be on the actual official pattern of the paper, right? But as you see, I just did two side ones, and having this other lining, so this is my other lining. What I will be doing actually first, before starting any construction, I will bust stitch these two pieces together. Well, first I will actually overlock these little holes, so it's not coming loose anything, yeah. And once I've done this, I will place it like that on top of each other, and I will do a basting stitch everywhere, practically everywhere: shoulders, underarms, sides, and the down part, yeah. Afterwards, what I will be doing actually as well, I'm going to match just like that on my fabric. I'm going to match the center of my top, and I'm going to do a straight stitch here, and as well I will be doing about here, to be sure. Wait, let me just put it correctly. I will be doing here as well another straight stitch, and I'll explain you why. I want for my top, because I don't have a big breast, so I want to introduce padding, right? I wanna introduce triangle paddings. I'm just showing you, I have here two on hand. So I want to introduce triangle padding. So since the triangle has a little bit of a corner, right? I wanted that it's not moving, right? I hate when I'm wearing tops and then the padding inside is moving, and it's all the time an adjusting war. So if you have, for example, this kind of padding and you want to introduce it, I will get out another padding to show you, but I really don't have here. So if you have another type of padding, what I recommend you is to mark where about your padding it is, right? And then you can do this straight line here. I've just did these dots for you to see, but most likely I will get my padding, and I will mark the dots where about my triangle will come. So then this way the triangle padding will not move inside, yeah. So yeah, I will be doing the basting stitch all around, and then straight stitch here, straight stitch, practically also a basting stitch. Once this is done, this would be practically my front lining, these two parts of the top, yeah. And all the rest of the top, we will be working. I have the other lining of the back. We will be working it normal, right? So I only have one lining, and as well I have an underband. For this top, I've cut here the band long as 7 centimeters. I have an elastic of 3 centimeters, which I will bring it inside. I will cut exactly the same length of my elastic, and I will show you how to sew this elastic, right? So yes, I'm going to go ahead and start the construction first on this bit of the lining. Like I said, I'm going to overlock it here, and then I'm going to connect it to this piece of lining. But please pay attention, this lining should be on top, right? When we will be working it, this lining should be the top lining. Yeah. Okay, so I did all these steps which I was telling you about. I did the overlocking of the openings right here, and I did this basting stitch all over the two parts of the lining, and as well I did the other basting stitch over the parts where I showed you. So I've got here my triangles, and I've pressed them down, right, and they get until here, and this is the separation, so they will not have a lot of space to move around, which would be great. So next, what I will be doing, actually, I would be cutting these little cuts. You've seen my videos, you know what I'm always doing this. I'm cutting these little cuts into the basting stitch, so it will allow my fabric to stretch. So if not, you will anyways hear a few poppings when you put it on you. So, well, in order not to get this, then best is to do a few cuts, and I will show you. Then you give a little stretch, the same to let the threads stretch a little bit. And I'm doing these cuts on both sides of the lining. All right, and this one side. I'll be doing now the other side. Like I said, a few snips here and there is more than enough. And I will go all around this, around the neck area. So the only place where I'm not doing small cuts, it's actually on the separation, which I created for obvious reasons. So anyways, those are small stitches, so they are not going to be affected, right? So next, what I'm going to do now, I will actually start the actual construction of okay, yes, so I'm back. What I'm going to do, so like I said, I'm going to treat the little part, the lining with the hole, I'm going to treat it as the front side of the lining. And I'm going to place the front piece on top of each other, on top of the lining, and I'm going to first check where my needles are. I'm going to pin all around the neck opening, just that. Why? Because since I don't like my lining to be seen, this will be a concealed seam. So since I don't like my lining to be seen, I will be afterwards doing a top stitch over. So in order to be able to do the top stitch, I first have to do just this neck opening, right? So what you see I'm pinning here, I'm doing now first practically a basting stitch, and then I'm going to serge it, adding elastic in the same time, yeah, and then later I'm going to fold it over and I'm going to top stitch it. I will be showing you how I do it, right? This would be for the front piece. From the back piece, I will actually, this here I don't have any problem with a lining showing, so I don't mind. You can always, of course, do all these steps as well, but it's just going to take a little more time. You can always stop stitch, right? So whenever you want, you can always stop stitch, yeah. Like I said, since there is no problem, I'm going to be pinning this side, the neck area. Okay, I put 3 pins in so you can see. I'm going to be pinning the neck area, the back underarm like would be, and the rest I will leave it unstitched, yeah? So just the neck and the underarm. The same, I'm going to first pin it, I'm going to bast it, and then next I'm going to serge it, adding elastic in the same time. So we add elastic here and here, right? Okay, so I've actually realized that my lining is not very slippery, so I just did a little bit of the basting stitch, and I'm going ahead to serge it directly, and I have here my elastic, and I'm going to show you. If you top stitch it, this is an important detail. So what I'm doing, I'm actually slightly pulling the elastic. Like I'm not really pulling it, I'm just barely maneuver it. So I'm creating a small crease. It's very hard to see, you see, but there is a small crease over here. So because I don't want to kind of like overstretch or anything, but since I'm top stitching to avoid the waving, I'm slightly pulling the elastic, but like a little bit. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and already cut it. I cut it always a little bit before because I don't like to be too bulky, my shoulder seam. Right, so I'm not sure you can actually see it, but there is a slight crease over here, right? And what I'm actually going to do next is I'm going to turn it on the right side of the fabric, yeah? And I'm going to top stitch it on this side. So I'll be doing a cover stitch with 2 needles, so just this side, right? I'm not going over anything of this. I'm just going to top stitch this. You can as well just do by elastic, since I have a by zigzag stitch, but since I have a cover stitch, I will be using my cover stitch. Okay, so I did my top stitch. Like I said to you, I did it on the side of the lining. And in this time, I had the seam on this side, right? So as you can see, this is the top stitch here. And now I'm going to turn it back on the wrong side of the fabric. And next, what I'm going to do, I'm going to pin and stitch my underarms like that. And do the same like before. I will be serging it and I'll be adding elastic in the same time. So I'll do these two sides like that, and I will be leaving the sides and the bottom part unstitched. And I will be also doing the back part. Since I haven't done it yet, I will also be doing it right now in this step. Okay, so I went ahead and I added the elastic. I serged my elastic on the arm parts and as well on my back side. Everything is serged. And now what I'm going to do, I'm going to introduce, so I'm going to turn my front piece on the right side of the fabric like that. And I'm going to do a straight stitch over my shoulder part. So I've turned my front piece, I turned it on the right side, and I'm going to do a straight stitch over this part, yeah, and then afterwards I'm going to introduce it inside of my back piece, and I'm going to do a straight stitch over my shoulder part, yeah. So I will be introducing it like that and do a straight stitch. So I'm going to go ahead and show you at least one. I try both of them actually. All right, that's one. That's another. I have here my magical safety pin. So I'm taking the safety pin and I'm going to put it inside, and I will be holding it like that so I know which direction I'm going and how has to be my how it has to be my fabric turned, right? So it doesn't twist inside. All right, so we'll be aligning it and we will be sewing over 4 layers. Very important, 4 layers. All right, so I'll be starting first. I'll just do a straight stitch. I will show you now how I do it. Can be tricky, but it's not. Doing first, starting the stitch like this, literally 2 stitches, and then I push a little bit inside so I align it. And I'm going ahead and I'm actually doing just a normal straight stitch, and then I go over again. And I'll be explaining you why, because as of this angle, right, I might have not sewn completely over the 4 layers. So now I trimmed what I didn't let's say I didn't like too much, you see, I didn't actually stitch over the full layer. So I'm turning it on the other side right now, lifting it up, and now I'm definitely sewing over the 4 layers. So I do a few first stitches, because I want it to be 100% secured. I'm going always a few times over, then I trim the excess fabric. Perfect. And I'll be repeating this on the other side. So what I do, I first check where is my little piece, introducing it, and repeat this little step. Okay, so I've stitched my both sides of my shoulders, and now I'm going to turn my top on the right side. And do not worry about any loose stitches. Don't worry about it. You can just trim it after, or they will come loose anyway, like in this case. All right, so no more loose stitches. Now you have constructed part of the top. Now the easier part starts, actually. So what I'm going to do next, I'm going to connect the sides. So I place it like that, so it's very visual for you what I'm doing. So I place it like this on top, and what I'm going to do, I'm going to kind of like unfold both parts. So this is my front piece with the lining, and this is the back piece, lining, and then I'm going to match right sides of the fabric together. So I'm going to match lycra with lycra, right side of the fabric together, and lining with lining, right side of the fabric together. This I'm going to do for the both sides. Okay, like I said, my fabric is not slippery, so I can go ahead and just simply serge it. You do not need elastic, so you just go ahead and you do a straight stitch. I mean, if you don't have a serger, you can always use a zigzag stitch like that. I just saw my seam coming underneath, so I place it back in its place. All right. Now I'll be doing this on the other side, and afterwards we are going to do a basting stitch to the lower back, so we are going to be ready to connect the band. Okay, so I've got here my elastic. I've got my elastic band. This is a 3 centimeters elastic band. As for the band, if you wish to cut like a thicker band, I'm going to give you like a tip. What you're going to have to do, it's kind of like sandwich it in, and from this you make sure that you have your exactly what it's going to be left over. It will be your seam allowance, right? So if your seam allowance would be more than 6 millimeter, which I'm adding normally, then you should increase it. So this is how I know how much I need to cut for my band compared to my elastic, right? If you don't have an elastic, or if you prefer not to add the elastic, it's absolutely not a problem. You can always just do it with the band. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to serge my band. So I've searched my band and I've got here my top. I've already sewn the sides like I told you before. So the sides of the top are already sewn. And next what I'm going to do, I'm going to pin my lower part of my top. So all around what you see, this bit, all around, I'm going to pin it, and then I'm going to do a basting stitch. So my lining and my lycra will stay together, will not move, since it's very important when we will be adding the elastic band, right? So I'm going to pin all around it, then I will do the basting stitch, and I'm going to show you how I'm sewing my elastic band. So I practically place it on top of each other, just like this. And then doing a straight stitch, going over a few times. So like I said, if you don't want to add elastic, just skip this step. I like to always have a supportive band underneath. And next what I'm going to do, I'm going to turn my band on my right side of the fabric, and I'm going to the same pin my elastic and stitch all around. So I'll be going like that in a circle. And I will stitch it onto my right side of my fabric. Okay, so I'll be doing this, a basting stitch, the same I will doing, making small cuts into, and here on the bottom part of my top as well, a basting stitch first. Okay, so I did my basting stitch over my bottom part of the top, and I've added my band as well, my elastic to my band. And next what I'm going to do, I'm going to turn my top on the lining side, and I'm going to match the right side of my band with one of the edges, one of the sides, and I'm going to pin it. Sorry, first I'm checking which are my halves. Right, so this is one of my halves. I'm gonna match it over here, and this is my other. Which I will be matching it over here on the other side. Since the band is slightly smaller than the top, what you will have to do, you will have to slightly pull the band and pin so it matches the top, like this. And we're going to do the same thing for the front piece. I'm going to slightly pull, I'm pinning it. All right, so now I'm going ahead to my serger, and I'm going to serge the band. We are almost done. This is one of the last steps. So I'm going to serge the band. No elastic needed, since you obviously have the elastic on the other side. So I'm slightly pulling my band, really not a lot. Okay, here it is. It's getting to an end. So this is my top turned on the wrong side of the fabrics, on the lining side. Now we'll be turning everything on the right side, and it will be looking first like this. What you will have to do, you'll have to fold the elastic. You'll fold it once, and then you'll fold it twice, and then I will be pinning it. So you see I'm matching with my seam, my initial seam, which I just did right now. So the same, I'm going to pin it. So I'm matching the sides together. So I go first, I pin the sides. This is a quite important step because you will want your band to be not to twist around, because sometimes the sew machine might twist it a little bit around. So I find it important to pin it, so I know how I have to go, and I know where my band has to be lined with. And for the next step, I will be using my cover stitch machine. If you don't have a cover stitch machine, you can use a twin needle with your normal sew machine. I actually do not have, or perhaps I have it, I never used it. Or if I did, it was a very, very long time ago before I had the cover stitch. So yeah, you can do this step using a twin needle or a cover stitch machine. So like I said, since I do have a cover stitch machine, I'm going ahead and I will be doing this step on my cover stitch. All right. So sorry. I keep forgetting things and I need to turn my head. All right, so I usually start a little before it's getting very bulky. I'll be starting here, and I'm going to go like really slow in the beginning. Like that. And I'm slightly guiding my fabric to make sure that everything is getting where it should be. Of course, if you have an industrial cover stitch, this step, it's practically a dream. If you have just a normal cover stitch, I recommend to do a test before, because it could be a little bit tricky sometimes to sew over a lot of layers and elastic and so here is my band. Here is my top. I'm so excited on wearing it. I did it together with my Monica leggings, and this is my top. I'm really excited about wearing it and trying it. So happy sewing.